All right, you're live with Lonzo, the Godfather of West Coast hip hop. We do it like this every week, y'all, from the West Coast to the East Coast and everything between, folks. From Eve after dark to concerts in the park. You're live with your boy Lonzo, and I put my headphones on. This is how we doing it, y'all. From the West Coast to the East Coast and everything between, folks. From Eve after dark to concerts in the park. You're live with your boy Lonzo, the Godfather of West Coast hip hop. This is how we do it every Tuesday, y'all. Most of the time. Me and Dusty, Dream Team, Dynamic Duo. This is how we do it, baby.
Yeah.
All right, folks. What's up with you, Dusty One?
Lonzo, how you doing, my dude?
Good, man. I can't complain about nothing, man. Man, I can tell my people, if I start complaining, I sound ungrateful.
I love it, man. I love it. Shout out to the chat. Everybody remember to hit that like button before you join the conversation. And please hit that subscribe button if this is your first time joining the channel. Oh, man, lots to talk about, man. We're going to talk some hip hop tonight, a few other things. But I would love your thoughts on this. You know, Lonzo, it's coming up on Biggie Small's birthday. And we talk about him every year around this time, May 21st. I share the same as Biggie. You share the same as Tupac. What are the odds of that? But you know, there's an argument out there amongst hip hop heads, and I've been hearing it a lot more lately, that Biggie can't be considered the GOAT or a GOAT in the rap industry, greatest of all time, because he only released one album while he was alive. His second album came out posthumously, however you say that. But what are your thoughts? Do you think Biggie could be considered one of the GOATs technically with, you know, just one album under his belt while he was alive?
Yeah, I mean, he had to record the second album while he was alive too, right? It did pretty good, right? So if
10 million copies, I think.
Just because he wasn't here for the release party, don't discredit his abilities. That don't make sense, man. You know, if the man did, if he did the work, put the work in, and made it happen, then what's the issue? Because he wasn't here for the release party? That makes no sense.
You know, Biggie died shortly after Pac was killed, 6 months. We talk about this too when we do our Pac, you know, visitation. We visit Pac and things like that. But, you know, 6 months after Pac passed, man, take yourself back to 1997. I know you're way out of the game, you know, as far as hip hop wise, you know, you're doing your club thing. But I'm sure you still have a love and passion for hip hop. You know, we're still grieving over the passing of Pac. And then 6 months later, we hear Biggie was killed in LA. What were some of your first thoughts?
Well, you know what? Let me correct you. I never was out of it. I just wasn't as directly involved. Hip hop had a bad aura at that time, man. It had a real bad aura about it. Like I said, EAZY had passed, Tupac had been shot, and the streets, the whole game was just so volatile. It was hard for anybody with any real sense. If you wasn't a gangster or didn't have that gangster mentality, it was more than just spectators. It got really, really sinister. And again, I sat on the sidelines, had popcorn watching it, and to see somebody like Tupac get killed, and shortly after that, see Biggie get killed, it just put a real black eye on hip hop, man. I mean, you lost three major people in a short period of time, and to this day, and here's the bad part. All those deaths are shrouded in mystery, man, because people still today debate whether EAZY died from what his natural causes. Nobody know who shot Biggie. Nobody know who shot Tupac. You know, everybody know. Anybody been prosecuted. So you got all this mayhem and money and madness at the same time, and it was a bad time for hip hop, man.
Yeah, it was definitely sad. You know, let's go back, you know, a little bit further when Biggie first came out. You know, big old overweight. People would call him ugly dude, cockeye. You know what I'm saying? But he had the style, man. What when you first heard Biggie and even throughout his career, what were your thoughts of Biggie?
Biggie was the hip hop version of Barry White. Biggie was a hip hop version of Barry White. Understand Barry White in the 70s. Barry White gave all the fat, dark-skinned dudes hope. And Biggie did the same thing for hip-hop. if you was a greasy son of a bitch back in the day, if you was a big old greasy dude back in the day, you got you a perm, you got you some clothes, and you got you some rings, and you tried to bring your voice down as low as possible. Okay, you tried to make your voice as deep as possible, be on the Barry White tip. Because, dude, understand this, it worked. It was a great self-esteem booster for a lot of brothers who may have had some self-esteem issues. When Biggie came out, brother started wearing them Gucci shirts and them hats. And, you know, I'm Big Papa, baby. And I seen it. It was just funny to be able to experience it both on both sides of the fence, hip-hop and in R&B.
How big was, and I don't mean weight-wise, how big was Barry White back in the day?
Barry White was huge, dude. Barry White was
okay.
Huge.
Talk to me.
You got to understand, Barry White, not only was he physically a big dude, he made big music. He had an orchestra, cellos and violin. Real. We ain't talking about no synthesized shit. We talking about some real multi-level orchestration with the stick, the whole 9 yards. He was really the maestro, and he played that role to the maximum. That was his get out, and he was so good at it. And not only was he good at it from an orchestration point, he was good at it from disco and R&B and love music. And that shit, man, dude, it was difficult to compete. Although Isaac Hayes went after him. Isaac Hayes took the same vibe. Isaac Hayes was a big music producer, bald head, and he made bald head cool. Okay? So you got these two guys, and both of them made some dynamic music. If you haven't heard Barry White or Isaac Hayes, I suggest you go to YouTube and just start listening. You'll see the sonic value that they brought to the music, the orchestration. Isaac was a little bit more gangster, where Barry White was all about love and peace.
Man, and his voice, that deep ass voice, man, that can get your girl's draws off in a heartbeat, I'm sure, back in the day.
Come on, dude, that shit was off the chain, and it was funny. We was trying to decipher the other day. Me and Unknown was kicking it, talking about the Rodney O situation with Kendrick Lamar did, and that is a Barry White replay sample, okay, and it was the song was called I Want to Love You More and More. One of the first ones he made back in the 70s. I was 16 when that came out. I remember being at the club when it came out. 16, a little teen club, a place called the Summit on the Hill. There's still a building there. It's not no longer a teen club. It was a little teen spot, Summit on the Hill. And I remember met me a little honey over there. And that was the song to jam to. That was a song that I was busting slide with in the back of my old little bucket. And I took it to the pad. Yes, sir. And that was like 73, 74. I was in high school. Yeah. Must have been about 73. Because yeah. I was in 73, 74.
Damn. Okay. Take yourself back to high school, and even whenever right after high school. What was the concert that you were the most excited to ever go see? Like, well, I gotta go see this concert.
My first concert that I wanted to go see bad, and I did go see it, was the Watch Stax. I was there, dude. I was there. Cost $1. Isaac Hayes was the headliner. The Staple Singers. I think it was Joe Tex. It was Joe Tex. It's two guys, Joe Tex and another cat, Hot Pants. I always got them two confused. They all had the same goofy bald head, George Jefferson haircut vibe. Staple Singers and Barcades. I think the Dramatics on it was all about Watch Stax record label out of Memphis. They came to California, brought their whole lineup. It was at the Coliseum. It cost $1 to see the show. And they did it 2 years back to back, but the second one wasn't as good as the first one, because the first one had a lot of issues, and they don't talk about it. But again, if you were there, you know.
Watch Stax. So that's not the Watch Summer Festival. That's two totally different things, right?
Two totally different shows. Watch Summer Festival was usually at the park on 103rd. It's Ted Watkins Park now, but it was something else back in the day. Damn, I can't think. We used to hang out there every week, the Vega Club. I can't think of it right now, but Watch Stax and Watch Summer Festival, two different things.
So watch that. Tell us about Stax Records. What do you know about Stax Records out of Memphis?
Stax Records was the shit, man. That was, like I said, that was a label for a lot of hot acts, Barcades. That was the Dramatics original label, if I ain't mistaken.
Will Rogers part. That was it.
Will Rogers. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Vista Light. Will Rogers, exactly. And it had a lot of groovy. I'm finna date my head. A lot of groovy shit came out of Watch Stax back in the day. Back in the day, man, you bought records based on the label. The artist was almost secondary. If you went to the record store and you saw the Watch Stax label, the Motown label, Sound of Philadelphia, depending on what your musical taste was, you would damn sure get a play. Because back in the day, we had 45s. 45s were not sealed in plastic. They just had a sleeve on them. Okay, so you could pull that 45 out and play it, put it back in the sleeve, put it back on the shelf. Whereas a 12-inch, unless it was a promo, had to be opened up and you couldn't sell it as a new record. But 45s, they had a little paper sleeve, pop it out, drop it on the thing. If the clerk played it, that was a good way, excuse me, to get people to buy records. As soon as you come in looking for one thing, the guy behind the counter start playing something else. What is that? Oh, that's some other Stax. And it was, they had record salesmen back then. And I tell people all the time, I miss the record business, not the music business, but the record business. Two different businesses. They both were based around music, but the record business was a totally different entity, a byproduct of the music business. The record business is dead. The music business still exists.
Damn. Yeah, everybody, get your questions. I'm definitely copying and pasting everything. I promise I'm not going to forget about you guys. But I want to take it, actually fast forward a little bit, Lonzo, to the 80s, you know, when hip hop really started making a name for itself. And I'm pretty sure we can all agree that, you know, it was mostly a minority thing, blacks, you know, Latinos and things like that. But who were some of the first white people, Lonzo, that you remember who made a major contribution to hip hop?
White people in hip hop.
We could say someone like a Craig Schweischinger, right? Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Okay, because Craig over at Skateland, he definitely was a major impact on the West Coast because he was very open-minded when it came to hip hop. And that was something that was very rare because it was new.
OG Steve, salute, brother.
There you go, Steve. I see you, Doc. Yeah, I was thinking in terms of artists at first, but yeah, Craig over at Skateland was very instrumental in allowing hip hop to fester in Compton. He opened his doors to everything we did, everything Roger, Uncle Jam's Army brought over there. It was an open door, and you got to give him his props. Like, he's probably on the line someplace, but if he ain't, much love to you, Craig.
Yeah, we've talked about Craig Schweischinger in the past. Damn, I said that perfectly the first time. Look at me, my literate butt. You've been fucking it up since 1983. But you know, talk to us about Skateland, man. We've talked about it in the past. It's been well over a year since we've kind of gone into detail. I know we have new people who don't know about Skateland, man. Talk to us about Skateland, Lonzo, because it was portrayed as well in Straight Outta Compton, right?
Yeah, Skateland was directly right next door to Duto's. If you I could walk out of Duto's door and right into Skateland's parking lot. Skateland was once a bowling alley, Mr. Woodley's bowling alley in Compton. I used to shoot pool there when I was in high school, and we go there after school, shoot pool for a minute, and once the real pool players come, he'd make us leave because we weren't supposed to be in there. And I'd been around, and we bowled there all the time. Mr. Woodley passed, and the building sat there for quite some time. All of a sudden, I passed by, I hear rumors of a Skateland or skating ring coming to Compton, and I go meet Craig, and he was just starting to work on the building. And we talked, and you know, hey man, I wanted to work with you on your grand opening. I promote next door, blah blah blah. And they was putting a maple floor in there. I mean, he took me around the whole. this dude, you got to understand, Craig. He was one of the coolest. He is one of the. He ain't going nowhere. He's one of the coolest. If he's on that, I ain't saying it because he on that. He's a follow. But if he was here, I say the same thing to his face. One of the coolest cats, black or white, I ever met in Compton when it came to hip hop. Open door. Hey man, let's do this right here. Straight shooter, and that's what everybody respected about him. He was a straight shooter. Okay. And he told me when I'm ready, I'll let you know. And he finally got everything together. And the one thing he didn't have was a sound system. Me, Big Slip, DJ Slip from Sound Control Mob, Rockin' Tom, and a few other the homies got together and put the sound system in Skateland. Put some big ass, huge ass bass bins, about 8 to 12 B32 Vegas, big ass amp racks, and we riding around there on the scissor lift because Skateland had a high roof too. Riding around, I didn't get up on the scissor lift. I wasn't messing with that shit. But yes, Big Slip with this big heavyweight ass got up there. We hung wires and the whole 9 yards and made Skateland, got it off the ground, and Wreckin Cru. We did the grand opening and it became the hottest spot. And it was beautiful for me because I was doing doodles on Friday for the dancing and then Skateland on Saturday for the skating. And it was probably one of the best deals I ever had because even at Skateland, I didn't have to do a lot of work. I'd show up, I'd do my work during the week and drain them with DJ. I'd come back, pick up my money, and me and Craig would tussle, we'd wrestle back and forth, fight about the money at the end of the night. And it was a good deal. And all the reason why I left, because Wreckin Cru got popular and we went on tour, came back and Uncle Jam's Army was trying to do some things.
Take us back to the skating rink, Lonzo. A night, a Friday, Saturday. When you went, I was one of the last generations that got to appreciate the skating rink, and I have so many great memories of the skating rink back in the 90s. But take me back to when it was bounce rock skate, and you was doing it then, turning around in the 70s. Like, talk to me about the skating rink, man.
Skating rinks in LA, especially, the first one that was very popular was the Gardena skating rink right there on Rosecrans. The actual Gardena swap meet on Rosecrans used to be the skating rink. Okay, I forgot the name. I thought it was just called Gardena skating rink. I'm not sure, but that's where everybody started off at. That was the spot for everybody. Gardena, Compton, everybody started over at Rosecrans. That's called Rosecrans. It was called Rosecrans Skating Rink. And shortly after that, it shut down, and Skateland popped open. When Skateland popped open, it was a shit. I think World on Wheels came before Skateland, and I know Skate Depot in Cerritos was before both of them. Yeah, but before before Skateland as well. But because Compton is a big skating city. Compton is two things Compton like to do is they like to skate, they love to cha-cha. Okay? People in Compton, no matter, I don't care how old you are, they got skaters 65, 70 years old in Compton, and I'm talking about some flexible, get out with it skaters. And it was just a big phenomenon. I never was a big skater. I can skate, but my brother was a skater in the family. And even back then, when he was in high school, junior high school, if my mom wanted to punish my brother, tell him he couldn't go skating. Or tell him if he don't clean his room or paint the house, you go skating. That nigga be out there painting his ass off. It was like that. Okay. So yeah, Rosecrans. Yeah, that was the spot, man. Like I said, the World on Wheels, then Skate Depot. I think I do believe, but don't hold me to this, that Skateland was probably the last one to come on board. Because I remember Craig promoting at Skate Depot and at World on Wheels. Because we were doing World on Wheels. Yeah, definitely. Because we was doing parties at World on Wheels before Skateland opened up.
Did you have a preference? Which one had the hottest girls? You know, was it Skateland? Was it World on Wheels? Cerritos?
You know what?
I know Cerritos always has
Skateland.
Fly girls because they would all come from everywhere now. Everybody in LA came to Cerritos. Skate Depot.
Everybody loves Cerritos. Cerritos, you got to understand Cerritos and Carson. Carson didn't have a skating ring, but there was a philosophy that I developed behind both those cities. Both of those cities were offspring, some of maybe Watts, some of Compton, some of Gardena. They were upper middle class cities when there is, in order to be upper middle class, you got to have more money. When you have more money, guess what? As a man, you get prettier women. All right. So when you have prettier women, you get prettier babies. So think about it. I mean, it's just common sense.
Because Carson do have some fly women, dog. You are not lying. Like Carson always had the fine ladies, dog.
Dude, we would get dressed up just to go to Carson and hang out in the hallway, dude. And we loved going to Banning High School and passing out flyers and catching women. It was the whole thing back in the day. That's what we did. So using that philosophy, and Carson was a step up from Compton, but Cerritos was a step up from everything in that area. So you got the fine. You got only do you have fine women. You got a few mixed. You got some mixed women. You got Asians and blacks, and you got a whole gumbo pot of mixture when it comes to different ethnicities and blending together to make this community. And it's covered in money. Come on, man. You can't win. You can't lose. You can't lose. So
yep.
When World on Wheels, I'm sorry, not World on Wheels, but Skate Depot, and it was next to the mall too. Come on, man. It's hard to beat that. Cerritos, everything about Cerritos has always been one of them cities that people just liked. It was always, I can't think of no old parts of Cerritos. I used to work off the 605 and I worked at Caltrans. I used to go to the Cerritos Mall for lunch on a regular basis. And it just always, even back in the 70s, it was always a modern, good-looking city. Never needed no facelift and nothing like that. It's new. It was built it was probably, I don't know when it was established, but I knew it was starting to develop in the late 60s, early 70s. And it's been a top-notch city all the way. So, hey, what can I tell you?
Yeah. Now let's talk about the decline of skating rinks, and the street element that messed that and a lot of other things upset you all once enjoyed when you were coming up.
One of the problems with skating rinks, if anybody ever seen the documentary United Skates, you'll see me in that documentary as well, talking about Skateland. But one of the things I learned from that documentary, United Skates, is that skating rinks require a lot of square footage to make a good skating rink, okay? And it's only being used, I don't know, maybe 20 hours, 40 hours a week for the most part. Let's say that. You got some early skate things on the weekends. The weekdays, you're not doing anything. Weeknights, you're doing some things. You might skate 5 to 6 hours a night. But again, for the amount of square footage that it takes to run have a good skating ring, the tax factor that goes along with that can supersede the profit margin, especially in California. All right, so you got a tax base, you got all the square footage, so you getting taxed by the city for all the square footage that you're using, and you only use it so much time, so much out of the week, out of the month. And when you look at the same square footage and you put in a Home Depot or Walmart, your tax base is a lot better, and you only shut down maybe, I don't know, 30 hours a week. You shut down from 9 till 6 in the morning or whatever time they shut down. But you got a big retail base that's making more money for the city, and you don't have the crime factor. And that's probably the ultimate situation that gets not only skating rinks, but nightclubs, sometimes restaurants shut down, is because they attract certain elements. There's not a lot of skating rinks around, and assholes and fools and idiots and gangbangers, all type of people come to skating rings, and a lot of times they don't even come in. They just wait in the parking lot because they know they're gonna see a possible op come out there. Somebody just come across town and have a good time because they know, and a lot of skating rings around. So it could be a good hunting place, which is lack of a better word. And every time, and this is the part that people don't understand, you have to be in business to understand what I'm saying. Every time, not most of the time, every time the police is called, you get what they call an incident report. An incident report for a business is like a ding on your credit report. Every time you get an inquiry or you don't pay a bill, a late payment, it's the same thing. It's a negative reflection on your business entity. And if you get too many incident reports, shootings, robberies, whatever the case may be, when it comes time to renew your license, or more so your CUP, conditional use permit, which is something you got to have for any business, whether it's a nightclub or a regular office building, you got to have a conditional use permit. And depending on the level of problem that you're encountering, it can hinder you maintaining or even operating in the same hours. Sometimes they say, oh, we're not going to shut you down, but you got to be closed by 11 o'clock. Now, you've been closing at 2. Now you got to close at 11. They ain't shut you down, but they cut your money down considerably, because now the police don't have to come out there at 1 o'clock in the morning and arresting fools or corralling people out the parking lot. But it also has a negative effect on your pocketbook. Actually, how I know.
Yeah, man. Now, the independent rap game was really big in the Bay Area and Northern California in the 80s. I mean, Too Short, E40, they were all doing their version of what you guys were doing down here, what they were doing on the East Coast and things like that. But did you ever collaborate or partner with anyone from the Bay or Northern California in the early 80s?
Nobody other than Atron, man. Atron was my go-to guy from the East Coast, from up north, I'm sorry. That was my go. He did a lot of collaborations. But back then there was nobody to really collaborate with. You know, we were all on different ways when it came to music, and far as working together, like I said, nobody but me and Atron.
Tell us about Atron. For anyone who doesn't know, that was one of Tupac's former managers, correct?
Yeah.
And Digital Underground.
Atron Gregory. I met Atron Gregory through Jerry Heller. When Jerry started to work with the EAZY E, I was still signed to him, and Atron was starting to work with Jerry as a road manager, and later became my road manager and my intern. And it just became a friendship we still have right to this day. I still talk to him every other week. He formed his own label, which is called TNT Records. On TNT Records, you got Digital Underground, which got Tupac. And he, like I said, once Digital Underground blew up and Shock G blew up, it became, they became who they did. Tupac was a spinoff, and he managed Tupac for a while until he went to jail for that last case. And that's when they kind of parted ways. Although he visited Tupac on a regular basis, when he got out, Tupac signed with Death Row. And that's a story. I don't know. He's saving that story for his book, so I can't go into details, but that's real as I'm going to get today. But he's good dude. Just talked to him last week. He's a very, very intelligent brother, very smart brother, very calm brother. He's on a personal tip, the dude is a black belt in one of the martial arts. And to talk to him, you can hear it. He almost talks like Quang Chang sometimes. Well, Lonzo, sometimes, I get pissed off. Well, Lonzo, hold on a second, man. He started talking that Buddhist shit. Man, let me do it. Nah, Lonzo. No, that's not how you should do that this time. Maybe you should look at the way of the master. Get the fuck out of here, Atron. Anyway, that I hope he watching. I'm fucking with him. He got me on my documentary. I'm getting his ass back today. But
that's good shit, man.
Yeah, we stayed tight for all these years, man. He's a good dude. And that's what it is, man.
I'm going to take this opportunity to give everyone an update on the channel. we're actually going to be reposting some of Lonzo's old interviews from back in the day, some that may have gotten buried in the videos, but so many people have been on this channel, Atron Gregory, Money B, speaking of Digital Underground, and just so many others. So just stay tuned. If you have not subscribed to the channel, this is the perfect time to subscribe, because you are going to get some of the dopest interviews that you never heard, that have been sitting around just, for a few years, because they're, buried in the videos. But I definitely encourage everybody out there to hit that notification, because that's how you are able to know when we post content on this channel. And before we continue, since we're about halfway through, I'm going to remind everybody to hit that like button. Shout out to the chat. We love you guys, man. My dude Marlon, I saw Rashard just popped in the building. The homie Jay Roos, Vista Light 72, Rob Tremble. We just want to thank you guys for the homie Marlon. Obviously can't forget Marlon and OG Steve, but we just want to thank you guys for the love. And let's continue to move on. Anything else that you want to say, Lonzo, before we move on?
Nah, man, it's people ask me all the time, would I do things differently? And I at the risk of sounding like an idiot, nope. Because if I did things differently, and I'm gonna tell you, like I tell my partner all the time, I know me. Y'all know this version of me right here, what y'all saying, this 66-year-old version of me right here. Back in the day, I was just as crazy as everybody else. And if I had gotten rich back then, I probably wouldn't be here. I probably
Say
wouldn't
that
be
all
here.
the time. I know I wouldn't be here. I'd be in my third stint of rehab. I'd be through my fourth marriage. Man, I'd be a done deal, bro.
It would be a lot different for me. Let's put it that way. If I was still here, okay. God has given me. I sometimes I feel like God has given me just enough to keep me going. You know, like the little thing in the front. You know, he got me a little trail to keep me going. And but again,
I'm okay with that because that's what gets me up in the morning. That's what gets me up in the morning. If I had all the money, I wouldn't even get up. That's what gets me up in the morning.
You know, when you're getting phone calls and about your partners and you experiencing things with other friends, and just be able to do what you do and do what you love, man, that's a blessing. It's a blessing within itself. A blessing within itself. And like I tell any youngster, the goal is to get old. All right, 100. The goal is to get old. Okay.
When you get a shirt, that sounds like a shirt.
Huh?
That sounds like a shirt.
Not like a shirt. When you get to hang out with your grandkids and go to your grandkids' graduation and see your grandkids go to college, dude, hey, man, and you get to experience that. Come on, man. Come on, dude. Come on. And then like that. Not your kids, your grandkids. All right. That's some grown ass man enlightenment right there, folks.
That's some real game right there, man.
Achieve the goal, get old.
I love that. I love that. All right, let's do this bit that we've done in the past, and we're gonna do every once in a while. But I want to recite a famous rap line to you, and I want you to elaborate on it, give your thoughts on it, and go into detail. This one here is a classic, one of the first rap lines that really ever hit the mainstream. And it was some real shit. It was in the 80s, and they're from New York, and New York 80s was not nice. But the song is from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. It's called The Message. Most hip-hop heads know that. But the line goes, Lonzo, simple line. We've all heard it before, but I want Lonzo to break it down. Don't push me, because I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. Sometimes it makes you wonder how I keep from going under. Lonzo, talk to me about this, the importance of, because I know that was kind of an important piece to hip hop.
Man, you know what? I'm gonna take that what you hit me with. I'm gonna drop something on you that I just heard from somebody near and dear to me. They going through it with their girl, and he said something very similar to that. If I leave the room, don't follow me. I'm trying to get away from you. I'm trying not to go there. You're pushing me. And this is something that I've seen in various situations, whether it was men and women, or even it was men on men and woman on women. You got one person that's trying to avoid a problem, and the other person is mistaking this person for being weak. And you keep pushing. All of a sudden, you push a button and you ignite some shit you didn't think you was going to get. Now, everything has been elevated and everything has changed completely because you thought you had a buster when you ended up with a damn nuclear cloud. So when I hear that kind of situation, I think about even myself as a kid. I was never a fighter, but I would fight. And people always thought I was a buster because hey man, I don't want to fight. When I light into your ass, you're gonna wish you had left me alone, okay? You're gonna wish you had left me alone. But that's just how people are, especially bullies. Bullies tend to push you to the edge. And once they realize that you will fight and you will fight until sometimes the death, now they realize, oh shit. And that's something I think I see that a lot even right now, man, in a lot of the politics. People are just pushing people to the edge. I mean, dude, it's just ridiculous how we're being manipulated. Don't get me started on politics, man. Please, they'll shut my channel down. Please. I like doing this. I don't want to start all over again, okay? But
For
yes,
real.
I see people getting pushed to the edge, pissing in your face and telling you that it's raining, and it ain't rain, dude. That is not rain. That is piss, okay? And that's the part people can't stand.
Now let's break this song down a little bit and see how it matches up with the hood. The song is called The Message. So I think it was 82, 83, 84, somewhere around there.
Okay.
But what was the economy like in the hood? What was the vibe of the hood? I know upper middle class and, wealthy people were doing pretty good due to things like Reaganomics and stuff like that. But what was the vibe of the hood when this song came out?
In 82, 83, Sherm was the drug of choice. Jerry curl was the hairstyle. We was actually, and truthfully, Doc, we wasn't doing too bad that I can remember. Don't stop me to lying, but we weren't doing too bad. Even though Sherm was the drug of choice, most people knew not to mess with that shit because it was so bad. It was obvious this shit taking brain cells. This shit is killing brain cells. That's not the thing to do. But it was only the precursor to crack cocaine. And that's when the shit started shifting. Gang banging was around, but it still was not the focus of majority of the youth in the community. It was something that was starting to bubble a little bit more. Gang banging started in the 70s. It was around, but again, it wasn't really a major factor till the mid 80s when crack came around. Again, they were around. They was at the Eve. They was at Skateland. They was at Dudos, but they can be dealt with a little bit better. A couple of cops can diffuse some shit. By the time crack got around, man, police was nervous as hell. So economically, I think gas might have been about $1.20 a gallon. We was bitching about that, but still it was affordable. A Big Mac might have cost you $1 something. In fact, I'm working on something right now. I've been downloading a bunch of images from different parts of time that I grew up with. And I'm working on getting my switcher back up and running so I can share them with y'all. And I tell you what these different things mean to folks. We're gonna come up with a new segment for this show. I'm gonna show you about 5 or 6 pictures, and I'm gonna tell you what these different pictures represent to me as a grown man growing up.
Hell yeah. That's going to be dope. That's going to be dope. All right, we'll do a few questions from the audience. So Jay Rooster, he wants to know, who is your favorite singer, Lonzo?
My favorite singer, male or female?
Man, give us one of each.
My favorite singer, male, Ron Isley. I grew up on Ron Isley, man. Ron Isley got me laid more than my doggone bed. So, yeah. Female, I've always been partial to Patti LaBelle, man.
Oh, yeah.
Patti LaBelle she's very underrated, but she is amongst the best. She just never had a big hit like Aretha or Whitney. But when it comes to skills, she got a couple of songs, man. If I hear these songs right to this day, they'll bring tears to my eyes. She sings the shit out of these songs. That's just my personal preference.
I always found her attractive as she got older too. I don't know. I've always been into older women, but I've always liked me some Patti LaBelle.
Get your fade, trust me. Okay.
Oh yeah, then she'll cook you something after. Here you go, baby. Here's some food. Here's a sandwich, baby.
Okay. Oh, get me busted up in here. Baby.
For real, those are some good choices. All right, let's see. Art Chavez says, Lonzo, is Breaking and Entering considered the first West Coast document about the rap game before breaking? I would say that's safe to say, right?
That's pretty safe to say.
What do you remember about Breaking and Entering? We haven't talked much, if at all, about that.
Man, I had to see that one again, Doc.
I've seen that a few times. I know Ice-T's in it.
Yeah. I have to see that one again. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I don't know much. For whatever reason, I don't know much about that one. Let's see here. Michael the Servant says, Lonzo, we got N.W.A. stories now. How about squeezing in Eve After Dark stories with Lonzo? Is that an earthquake? I think we just had an earthquake. I would love to hear more about the Eve. You got any random Eve stories that just pop in your mind, Lonzo? And I think we just had an earthquake, by the way.
I hear ambulances. I didn't feel nothing.
That shit's still going, yo. Yeah, we having an earthquake. All right, keep going, Lons. I'm good though. Does them every day, damn near now.
It ain't. The dogs was barking, but it hadn't hit me yet.
My dog just started. My dog literally, as you said that, my dog just barked. All right, keep going.
Eve After Dark, man. The Eve, dude, you had to understand the Eve was, yeah, he's scared. He heard that earthquake. The Eve was a venue that was like none other, man. It was upstairs. The capacity was 300 people. It was ran by me. I'm 22 years old. I wasn't the oldest person in the room, but I was the most responsible person in the room. We had mixed clientele. We had 18 and over, and then we had, after a certain point in time, after like 12 or 1 o'clock, we would go to full-blown after hours with all grown-ups. I mean, people 25 to 40 may show up in the Eve because the kids are gone now, and that was one of the main after hours on this side of town. Now, they had another after hours not far from the Eve called The Name of the Game, but if you lived in Compton, Watts, whatever, you don't drive on 120th and Western, you came to the Eve. The Eve had glass, had mirror walls on one side, and it would be so hot sometime in the Eve, you swear the walls were crying. It'd just be water just literally running down the wall like a waterfall sometimes. It would just be, the condensation would be enormous. We had to break it down from time to time and just put on a slow song. And that was something that I noticed youngsters don't do. They don't slow dance. They don't slow dance. All the pop locking, all the jumping around and shit. But at the Eve, we're going to give you some ear whispering time. We're going to let you get your grind on. Sweaty, everybody's sweaty, sticky, sweaty. That's all right. Everybody, we exchanging fluids, folks. And at midnight, at the Eve, we always had some kind of contest. Whether it was a pop lock contest, a Freak of the Week contest, a rapping contest, a singing contest. I'd have an act come through. And that was the vibe of the Eve, man. I would give away $100 like it wasn't shit. To give away $100 wouldn't be no big deal. We had a pool table in the back. We had video games. It was just a cool place, man. I mean, you see it. I see pictures of it now. And again, as soon as I figure out what's wrong with my switcher, I'm gonna put some pictures of the Eve up behind me so you get an idea. I got pictures of the Eve. All the lights in the club, me and the fellas put in there. Not Dre, me and Yella most of the time. Dre didn't do a lot of work. Dre did a lot of DJing, but me and Yella did a lot of the work. Me, Yella, and Roscoe, Jeffy's son. We made signs that said Wreckin Cru. I had a projector in there, and the projector, I think I told y'all this. I'm gonna tell you the story again. The projector I learned in my lighting class at El Camino College, if you put a projector, put a screen in front, put a sheer screen in front of a projector, the image can be seen on both sides. So sometimes we didn't have no video. Video had not been invented yet. Video had not been. I'm using 8mm projectors. No bullshit. So I would go down and I'd get old cartoons, some Mickey Mouse and some Mighty Mouse cartoons on an 8mm projector, set them up on the DJ booth, and by the time it hit the screen, it'd be huge. No sound, because they didn't have sound on them no way. But it gave a different atmosphere. And only thing about it is, on one side, it's going forward, other side is going backwards. But nobody cared no way, because it's just some dope shit. I never forget these. I think I told y'all this story. I'm going to tell you again for those who weren't here to listen the first time. We had a Freak of the Week contest. And this contest, I drugged this contest out for like 3 or 4 weeks. It was a money maker. It was a big draw for me. And it got down to the finals of the Freak of the Week contest. And these 3 girls, I don't know where they was from, but the word that got out, they was going to break out in bikinis and take this $100, split it up 3 ways. Well, this one chick was like, I'm gonna get all you bitches. I'm like, okay, whatever. So the girls, sure enough, they have bikinis on and they break out, they do their little freak dance and blah, blah, blah. Crowd go crazy. Come for this one girl by herself. She do her thing. And for some reason, somebody had my attention for a split second. I turned my back. I heard the crowd go crazy. I mean, I turn around, homegirl was butt ass naked on the stage, butt ass naked to Eve After Dark. I'm like, oh hell no! So now I snatch the curtain, the sheet, wrap it around her, and get her ass to the office. What are you doing? I wanted to win the money. I want the money. I know I won. You damn sure did. Here. Now, here's a true story. I ain't got it. I ain't got a lot to kick it. I'm gonna address that too in a minute. 2 days later, I get a call from the Carson Sheriff Department, the rape squad or whatever it was. No, the Vice Squad. Mr. Williams, my name is Detective so-and-so, and I understand you on a teenage strip club. Huh? A what? Teenage strip club. You paid a young lady $100 to get naked. And I'm sitting there going, did you give the girl $100? Yeah, but I didn't pay her to get naked. Was she naked? Yeah, she was naked. But did you pay her? No, I gave her the money because she wanted. What content? Did you pay her? Give her $100 to get naked for the content? No.
No matter what you said, it just doesn't sound right.
I was losing. I was like, officer, hold on. Let me explain this to you. This is what happened. So I broke it down to him. And you could tell in his voice, like, yeah, this motherfucker lying. He's trying his best to pin me with some shit. Well, the problem was the girl got raped. Well, she got AR'd a couple days after this happened. And the guys who allegedly did this said they saw her naked at Eve After Dark. And that guy paid $100 to get naked. And it took me everything, every persuasive bone in my body to keep my club open and not go to jail. Because see, back then it was a law that I have not heard in decades. But I got hit with it twice. I got approached with it 2 times. And it was called contributing to the delinquency of a minor. When you're dealing with kids and you give them cigarettes, alcohol, back then weed, or anything that was, you had to be 18 and over to indulge in, the person, the adult that was providing that situation could be hit with a case of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. It could be a misdemeanor. Most times it was a misdemeanor, but depending on what happened, it could be a felony. So I'm nervous. I'm scared. And the cops started coming around more. They realized they kind of started taking my side of some other people. They asked some other people what happened. He said, yeah, he didn't, the girl, he had his back turned. When the girl, people started doing what they're doing, he gave her the money to tell her to get out of the building. And whatever happened after that was not his fault. But again, it was a different time. And I tell people all the time, when I was at Eve After Dark, you got to understand, Eve After Dark, we promoted to the high schools. We didn't promote the junior high schools. We promoted at high schools. But back then, parents still would drop their kids off. And sometimes, if you pulled up in front of Eve After Dark about 9:30, 10 o'clock, it looked like a junior high school a parade of cars, like people picking up their kids from school. Kids come downstairs, hop right in the car, keep on going. Mother car pull up. That's how they did it. A lot of times we had a joke. We would embarrass the shit out of people. Hey, DJ on the mic. Hey, Susan Barker, your mama outside. The whole club. Oh, we did that shit. We embarrassed the fuck out your ass, okay? But that was something we did. And so please don't tell my mama. And sometimes mamas or daddies would come upstairs to the club to see what was going on. They'd be at the cashier booth. I'm coming here to pick up my daughter Sophronia, whatever the case may be. And Sophronia might be at to get her groove on. Oh yeah, and I tell you something else that was crazy. A lot of them good girls that was come out there in bobby socks and shit. They go in the bathroom, come out in some very provocative shit, and go back, change that shit, go back in the car. Seen it happen a dozen times a weekend, I should say. Bottom line is, the E was a very unique place, man, and I wish I knew somebody that had the money and the wherewithal to tell the true West Coast hip hop story and let that be a part of the story, because that Eve After Dark is our 520 Sedgwick. It started everything.
That's crazy.
Eve After Dark is our 520 Sedgwick. We just didn't start hip hop. we helped develop hip hop. We didn't start it. Nope, didn't do it. Can't tell you that. But a lot of the first came out of Eve After Dark. Like I said, with DJ Yella, learned how to scratch from Davey DMX, Curtis Blow's DJ, Eve After Dark. Run DMC pissed me off. That's why you got World Class Wrecking Crew. All these are in my documentaries. My new documentary, N.W.A, Now Without Alonzo, comes out this year. It's already going to film festivals. That's the one that shows you the actual connection between me and everybody else in hip hop. And when you see the Eve documentary and the N.W.A documentary, it's going to make a lot more sense overall. The Eve documentary showed the Eve's impact, but because of the Eve impact, it gave me a bigger impact, and then it goes on to show you how everything else kind of fell into place.
Can't wait for that to come out, man. Hey, the STEM Radio has a question, Lonzo. He had it earlier. He got it. I meant to get it earlier because he's been waiting for this one. He says, all right, Lonzo, I'm here early just so I can get this burning question that I've been meaning to ask. Who did the Comptons in the House clip that we have heard sampled? Comptons in the House.
You know what?
That sound? I'm trying to think in my head who that sounds like.
It might have been Clientele.
Huh. Okay.
Might have been us. Okay. I can't. I'd have to find an original copy of Juice. Okay. On the original copy of Juice, the 12-inch version of Juice, I had the idea of creating snippets that DJs can scratch into records, and I do believe because we had a few things. If you listen to some of the old from the first N.W.A tracks, you hear my crazy ass laugh. I had this crazy ass laugh I did all the time. You hear that shit. You hear
what?
That's me. You hear that on N.W.A records. You hear that. You'll hear somebody say "po-ho." That was a saying we had back in the day. You hear Compton's in the House. We did all. We had about, I think it was about 20 different cuts that we put at the end. After about 30 seconds on Juice, you'll start hearing these little snippets being played because we had a little extra time. No shit.
Damn, getting that real West Coast hip hop history here, ladies and gentlemen. You know, earlier you mentioned DJ Slip. Can you give us a little more insight on DJ Slip? DJ
Slip was hip hop's Hoss Cartwright. Big son of a bitch. 6'7", about 400 pounds. One of the nicest guys you ever wanted to meet. Okay? One of the coolest guys you ever wanted to meet. Could kill a whole 6-pack of 40 ounces by his damn self. It never
Damn.
staggered. You hear what I said? He could kill a 6-pack of 40 ounces by himself and never stagger. I watched this nigga like out a whole slab of ribs, and everybody in the room was like, nigga, well, I thought we could eat too. He was he is a big dude. He lost a lot of weight though. One of the coolest guys I met. He came to me. I met him before. I'd written the sounds from him. He'd written stuff for me as a DJ. I met him as a DJ first and foremost when he bought music people from my partner Edwin. And when I built the studio, he came to me with the compilation artist and the idea just needs studio time. And that's how we became partners. We've been partners ever since. Him, Rockin' Tom, Chuck Small, Mike T, all of them came around the same time. They came after Dre and them left.
Let's see. Only Good Games wants to know, how did you meet the DOC?
I met the DOC when World Class Wreckin Cru. We flew to Texas to do some gigs.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me. Most people don't realize that Dr. Rock was on the Tom Joyner Morning Show. Before he went to Texas, he was the number 2 jock at Eve After Dark. I was number 1. He was number 2. He'll say he was number 1, but by that time I was doing something else. Anyway, Dr. Rock left LA suddenly, went back to the Houston and Dallas. I always get them confused, wherever DOC is from, and got hot as fish grease on the radio doing the mix show with Tom Joyner Morning Show. Well, Dr. Rock formed a group called the Feeling Fresh Crew. DOC was a part of that group. When World Class Wrecking Cru got hot, we went to Texas, and there was Dr. Rock, and that's when we met Feeling Fresh. Freedom Fresh Crew and DOC was a part of that group. Later, Dr. Rock flew back to California to do some tracks in the studio, and he brought DOC with him. Next thing I know, DOC got snatched from Dr. Rock. He was on Ruthless. Damn.
Do you know the story behind that, or?
Well, look at I got to say this. Everything, the early stages of Ruthless came from Crew Cut and other labels. Most of the artists on Ruthless were either former Crew Cut or Crew Cut. I'm gonna say rejects, just turned down. Like Above the Law, it was a group I had. They law brought them to me first. I just never cared to do the gangster shit, and they ended up on Ruthless. Okay. Yeah, of course, Dre and Yella, Michelet, they ended up on Ruthless. When Dre went to Ruthless, he was the music man for everybody, and him and DOC hit it off because DOC is a great writer, and he ended up at Ruthless. So that same thing with JJ Fad. JJ Fad came from our company, West Coast Record Distributors, with a hit record. We broke the record first at West Coast Record Distributors, and then Rudy sold them over to Ruthless, and that was their first platinum album. I ain't got a lot to kick it. Speaking of a lot to kick it, I got to say this. I got to say this right here. I forgot who it was. I checked my comments. I read that shit. Somebody made a comment like I lied about something. Okay, no, it was a game. I know it was a game. I told the story about the game being a stripper. When the game was doing this, was stripping at Eve, game was like 16 years old. Now I wasn't there at the time, but I know for a fact it happened because me and his mama was business partners. I just left to go on tour. Okay, this is the honest to God truth. And again, like I tell you all the time, I don't have to lie to kick it. Games says this all the time. If you follow if you go from his interviews, he'll talk about it. It's not his proudest moment, but he was making money. All right. And his mama was making money too. Hey, go out there and get you a couple dollars, son. And he did that. I'm not doing it. I'm not trying to clown the brother. I'm just telling you some real shit. Now, if you can't believe that one of your heroes made a shook his nuts for a few dollars, that's on you. But that don't mean it didn't happen. And like I said before, I ain't got to lie to kick it.
There it is. Cleared it up. Last question, man. This is kind of cool. Miami 808 says, I have the 12-inch for Juice. First record I ever owned. My personal question to you, Lonzo, how does that make you feel 40 years later, someone saying that your song is the first record they ever purchased?
You know, it always makes me feel good, Doc. You know, when I met Too Short, I want to introduce myself. I said, nigga, I know who you are. I've been buying your shit forever. You know, it makes you feel good to be a part of a person's childhood, growing up, whatever the case may be. Now look on, I think it's on the B side. Play, let it play for a minute. You'll see. You'll start hearing some little snippets on the album. If you still have a record player, let it play for a minute, and you'll start hearing little snippets that we said at the end of Juice. It should be on side B. It might be on side A and B, but I'm sure it's on side B because the side B was on the instrumental.
There you go, man. Definitely leaving a legacy and an impact. And I'm glad everybody joins this channel because this is where you get the history, the real history of West Coast hip hop. And I'm so glad we do this show because if we didn't, the truth would just be someone else's truth. And before you know it, Lonzo was just this little bitty speck of somebody who walked in the door one day and just maybe did something and then it bounced out. But this dude is the reason why we have a lot of the people that we have and the people that I grew up listening to. So I want to thank you, Lonzo. I want to thank everybody out there for checking out the channel. Please remember to hit that like button before you bounce out. It really helps the algorithm. So if you could just please hit it right now before you head out, we do appreciate you. Much love to the chat, especially to OG Steve. We appreciate you definitely shooting us a few bucks, and anyone else who wants to shoot a few in the future. You know, you can do a super thanks. There's this thing called super thanks. You know, you can actually donate after the video is already posted. So if you love the channel, everything helps. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We definitely appreciate you. Other than that, hit that subscribe button if you have not already. Hit them with the thing, Lonzo.
All right, folks. For those who never heard of me, I'm the first one to put Dr. Dre in the surgery, stuck Ice Cube in the freezer till he got cold on the eve after dark, 50-yard line of the Super Bowl. In the movie Straight Outta Compton, they played me like a hater of rap. Don't believe that Hollywood bullshit because it was all cap. My history goes deeper than you will ever know. Just remember that N.W.A. Stand for Not Without Alonzo.